another episode of Slightly Under Asking. I'm Kelly, here with Caitlin.
Yes.
And today we are going to talk about firing clients.
Yikes.
Yikes. Insert sound effect. Well, I think that this is probably more of a relevant conversation in today's marketplace because listings aren't selling, buyers aren't necessarily executing on things in a timely manner. People are just more wishy-washy in this market, right?
Yep.
Sellers seemingly like, well, if it doesn't sell right away, I'm going to rent it out. Or, and that's a hard pill to swallow for us as realtors because there is an upfront investment, financial, time, all the things. So today we're going to unpack that a little bit. Is there a proper amount of time? Do you kind of just see how it goes? Do you even do it? Have you ever fired a client? So we're going to talk about it on the buyer's side versus the seller's side and kind of just see where the conversation goes, anecdotes, times where that's been the case, times maybe you've gotten,
Yeah. It goes both ways, you know? And I think a lot of people think like, you don't get to fire the customer or the client, but I think you can fire your clients as often and as much as as needed.
Savage. Just fucking animal over here.
I'm not a stranger to firing clients. It happens though, but yes, I've been fired too. We get fired in this business all the time, but oftentimes it's like a either miscommunication or improper expectations were set. But I think when we are firing clients, more often it is kind of a gap in expectations. Like they have unrealistic expectations, whether it's on the seller side or the buyer side. And at the end of the day, your time is worth money. And the business, the industry. If they're not going to be getting the result they want, then why are you spinning your wheels trying to create some impossible outcome?
Well, and I think that a lot of consumers forget that we are unpaid volunteers until this closes.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, whether people mean to or not, a lot of time, they take for granted our time, not even just the financial aspect of it, but also like the back end of it. Like, hey, I had to get a sitter. So I think people sometimes forget, aside from, this is our livelihood, people also forget the upfront costs and, that come with us operating this business, the time, the resources, but also, I'd hire a sitter. I had to fill up my tank of gas to show you those 20 houses. You know what I mean? Things like that. I gave up my Saturday, my Sunday, so I think unfortunately that gets forgotten about. But let me ask you, in the times that you have fired clients, were there red flags up front?
Yes.
That you just ignored and pushed through?
Yep. Okay. Always. Yeah, I think so. It's more like a little bit of a misalignment, You can tell like they're going to be more difficult to deal with for one reason or another, whether it's the way they converse with you, the way they want to communicate, their expectations, that kind of thing. And you're like, well, let's see how this goes. Let's see this through. But it becomes very not fun when the blame gets shifted to you all of a sudden and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was right that we were not aligned from the start, right? And we weren't going to be a good fit working together. So, yeah. I think in the beginning, and it's so much harder when you're starting out as a newer agent and you don't have an abundance of business yet, that like you don't want to turn anyone down and you're going to try to see it through. And then there's nothing worse than like putting in 3 to 6 months and realizing like this may never pan out and like I'm miserable working with this person. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I can't tell what's worse, though, like when you're completely blindsided or when you had a gut feeling up front. Because at least with the gut feeling up front, like you can, hindsight being 2020, you're like, all right, you know what, like, that's on me because I knew this would happen, but there's something to be said when you're kind of blindsided by things not working out, the misalignment. A lot of times it's a communication error, like the last one I had, their house didn't sell, and he said, well, I had been feeling these certain things over the past few months. And to me, I was a little blindsided, like, well, like, why didn't you bring any of those things to my attention? I mean, a lot of the things, after he told me what they were very, could be very easily explained about the process and the nuances and all of that. I think I'm going to chalk it up to a misalignment, like you said, but I think a lot of that could have been, figured out through him communicating his needs to me.
Yeah.
And that's really hard because I don't know, I don't read minds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if every conversation we have is seemingly upbeat, I'm going to chalk that up for all is good.
Right. So at what point do you feel like it is the time to like fire a client? Like
buyer or seller?
Well, either.
Okay. Because I think it's a little different, buyers versus sellers.
Tell me more.
So I think for buyers, I think for buyers, there is probably a reasonable amount of homes to show, right? I so badly wish that we could take a retainer, and we can.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say we should.
Yeah.
It's just very atypical in our market.
Yeah.
Phoenix is extremely saturated, and I think that if we as buyer's agents asked for a retainer, people just go on to the next.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. But
I do think we get a lot of relocation buyers here, and I don't know that it would be inappropriate to ask for that in that case, because it's always that we're coming in for 5 days, we want to see as many houses as possible, and then on the flight home they say, like, they decide like, oh, it's going to be too hard to find a job there, never mind.
Yeah, I'm going to Sheboygan, Michigan instead.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that is more of a situation where you could push for a retainer. I don't know that you would get it, but I feel like that's reasonable. And if someone asked me for that, I'd be like, sure, I'm going to monopolize your time for 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
And I'm being transparent with you that like, I don't have all my ducks in a row yet, but I really would want someone to show me around. I'll pay for that service. But that's just me.
I think that's
I pay for what
reasonable.
I want.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like to do that.
I think that's super reasonable.
Yeah.
I think, but back to your question, I do think that there is a reasonable number of homes to show, that somebody should have a good idea of what they want after seeing, and or I think a lot of it is up to our discretion, right? Because there have been times where I have shown people 10, 15 homes, and I'm with them. Like, there's nothing exciting about in this price point that I'm thinking you're making a big mistake by missing out on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, 15, that's a lot of homes to show.
Yeah.
But sometimes I agree with them. There have also been people where I have checked literally every box, and I have shown them homes in that box, and for whatever reason, they're just not even writing an offer, not even talking about writing an offer. And to me, I think that's a red flag. That either their expectations are unreasonable or they're very hard to please. Or we start seeing a lot of homes and the conversation of constant lowballs keeps coming up.
Yes.
They don't see the value in those homes, and no matter how many times because a lot of times I do show homes, and maybe they are overpriced, so it would warrant maybe a lower offer. But if I've relayed the data to them and they just, for whatever reason, they don't see the value and they keep wanting to lowball house after house after house, that's another red flag. So I think at that point, it might be time to part ways.
Yeah. Or at least have the conversation around it doesn't seem like we're aligned on what you're looking for or that you're aligned with the market expectations.
Yes.
And like having that kind of come to Jesus to see if, well, you know, is it really that they are just unrealistic or are they just misunderstanding, you know, what the market conditions are like. I think too, like you have to, it's different for everyone, like when you decide to pull the plug, because if they're the only buyer you're working with, you might just like keep working that and try to see where you get with them. But if you have other priorities, it's always that opportunity cost, right? And it's like, how much time am I missing with the potential to be working with another client who's serious, who like you only have 24 hours in a day, right?
Yeah.
And then that also goes for like your time with your family and you know, your personal time and stuff. And when it gets very frustrating when someone's monopolizing that and you're not aligned, or they may never actually have an intention to buy or, you know, do something. So
I will say this. The clients where I've had a feeling that I needed to part ways, but I've pushed on because I thought they would buy, every single time I thought we should have part ways, they have never ended up acting.
yeah, I think
They never have.
your gut is right.
I know.
On all of those.
And
Now you also get the situations where like it's not a buyer that hasn't been writing offers, but we've been writing offers and then canceling, or we've been writing offers and they're like a million things wrong. They won't go forward with stuff. So, you know, we've had clients where they want the control in the transaction, but they don't really know, obviously, anything about it. So they're frustrated because they have a different expectation, or they're picking apart the contract, every line in every single thing, asking a million questions around it, and you know, basically not trusting any part of this process, not trusting us, not trusting, you know, inspectors, not trusting anything. And so like, that's also like, okay, yes, we've come this far, but you know, I don't even know if this is going to work out at this point. And that's another time when you may want to say like, is this the right fit for us to be working together? Because ultimately the amount of time that you give to get that deal to close when it won't, and then
That's
are they going to do
frustrating.
it again the next time you're under contract on something else if you don't, you know? So there's a number of ways.
I noticed that a lot with people who relocate from out of town, who don't understand what it's like to live in like the desert, or, you know, like a lot of times I think that gets managed during the inspection period because, like, for example, here in Arizona, termites are not that big of a deal. It's not like where you throw the Joe Dirt circus tent over the house and they fumigate the whole house. That's not the type of, that is not the type of termites we have in Arizona.
Yeah.
That it's like really every house in Arizona has or gets termites, and it's a $500 treatment, and you know,
Yeah.
within reason. I mean, if you've let it go for years, maybe there's more damage, but for the most part, it's not a big deal. But people from the Midwest, they think like the house is going to fall down.
Yeah.
Same thing with maybe water damage, like a small roof leak. It's so dry here in Arizona. Yes, mold can happen, but it's not like if you're coming from Seattle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times there's this mistrust or this not truly understanding the market, but not leaning on the expert that you hired to guide you through it.
Right.
And then they end up canceling, and then there's termites on the next house.
Yeah.
There's a roof leak on the next one, right? So, you know, I think that is also, I mean, I think that's a industry-wide problem that we've had where maybe the bar is, I mean, now I'm like really deep diving. I think sometimes maybe the bar is too low for realtors to enter the industry, right? And then the public just has a general mistrust from us.
Yeah.
For us, I should say.
Yeah, that's always a hard hurdle to get over because our compensation is tied to them closing. So, of course, they're going to think we're just pushing to get a paycheck.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. And, most of the time, most of us are trying to educate them on, like, don't do something stupid right now because you have a good thing in front of you, whether that be about the price or about the condition of the house or whatever. Do you think you should be firing your clients in general?
Yes. Oh, well, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some people are just inherently unreasonable. I do. And I think it's getting worse.
Yeah.
As maybe people have access to more information. It's all doom and gloom on the news, the recession, the sky's falling. I think people have just become very unreasonable on the buy side and the sell side.
Yeah. Well, there is a big gap right now between the buyer expectation and the seller expectation, and that puts our jobs in like an impossible position a lot of times because no matter what side you're on, you're not winning for
I'm
your clients.
so glad you said that. I closed a deal last week, and I'm hanging out in the kitchen after I gave them keys, and on this house, the seller refused to make any repairs. But we had offered on a house before this, and the seller didn't want to negotiate off the price at all. And we were standing around the kitchen. We finally got it to close. They were okay without any repairs. And they were like, is it us? And then I thought to myself, well, if they think it's them, they probably also might think it's me and my negotiating style.
Right.
And I just had to kind of reiterate to them, like, I think it's just kind of human nature right now. Sellers can't, for the better part of a decade, we've been in the seller's market.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yep.
So I think this is a big adjustment that homes aren't selling the first 2 weeks of being on the market. And then, they're having a hard time reconciling that if they had sold 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they would have had 10 offers cash over asking. And now we're in a market where I think, 50% of all deals are getting seller concessions.
Yeah.
So, at least in the Phoenix market. So, I think this is a hard pill to swallow for sellers.
Yep, for sure.
And I think buyers are, probably taking this to an extreme also, where they're hearing on the news that the sky is falling. So, they're trying to get the absolute best deal possible, which is, I understand. But, nobody's working together.
No, right.
It's very adversarial, and I don't operate like that. Like, you want to buy, you want to sell, like, let's make this work. And I think everybody's just in self-preservation mode.
Right. And then I think the agents kind of become the bad guy, right? Yes. Because we're just trying to find a paycheck, and that's actually not it. We're just trying to bridge two different realities.
Yes.
So I think it... I don't know. I feel like this is a topic that isn't talked about all that often. And I think it should be more, open and like customary for us to talk about this in our business, especially with agents that are just getting started, that like, hey, look, you don't have to take every client that comes your way. You don't have to work with every client that you sign either if you find that they're not a good fit for you for whatever reason. And it could just be, it doesn't even have to be unrealistic expectations, but it could be the way that they communicate with you. Like, I've had a client that was really inappropriate in the communication in a way that was unprofessional and like disrespectful, and it was coming from a place of frustration. But I was like, I've put in a ton of time and effort here, and if I don't get paid on this, I'm fine. I don't want to deal with this person anymore. And you have the ability to call the shots on that, and you should, because it is your time and it's your money, and there's so much more opportunity out there. And like, if we want to get into the woo-woo and talk about, what you're attracting, right? Like, the more you accept that type of behavior into your life and that type of client, the more the universe is going to send you that type of person.
Well, and you want referrals from
Right.
that asshole?
Right.
You know what I mean?
You think you're going to get a good review?
Yeah. Or you want to work with his best friend, who's
Right.
probably the same way.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I think because real estate can become, we touched on this, I think, maybe 2 episodes ago, that it's not like buying and selling stock.
Right.
It is a very emotional, people get very triggered, and a lot of times, yes, it's a happy reason that people get to move homes, but a lot of times it's not. It's divorce, it's job loss.
Right.
It's
very stressful.
It is very stressful. And I think people a lot of times take it out on us.
For sure.
They're frustrated. Maybe they're not in alignment with their spouse or partner, and that frustration gets taken. I mean, I've had times where people have screamed at me, totally undeserved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Said terrible things to me.
Yeah.
And, maybe when I was more like of a new agent, I wouldn't have said anything, but now I'm, like,
Right.
we can talk when you've cooled off. Call me back then.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to subject myself to this.
Right.
And that's a scary thing to like stand up for yourself like that.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. I think the sooner you can learn to do that, I think the sooner you can learn to cut ties with people who are difficult, aren't in alignment with you, and and you can just take that, if not this, then better logic.
Yeah.
You'll be a much happier person.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
so to you, tell me on the seller side, when is the time to cut ties with a seller?
I think it depends on the situation, but obviously we have a listing agreement that is normally 6 months or longer, a year, maybe 9 months. Within that, if they're not being realistic, if they refuse to drop the price and they need to drop the price, if they refuse to do things that need to be done to sell the house based on the market conditions, then it might be time to pull the plug on that, because it is your money a lot of the times at that point, right? Because buyers, it's your time, but with sellers, if you're not putting some money into that by advertising or, just your time in social media and that kind of stuff, like staging,
photos, video,
whatever it is. Yeah.
Shit ain't free.
Because that when the house is not selling after weeks, they're wondering what you're doing to sell the house, because they don't realize that it's usually about price or condition. So it's that, then you're just going down a really long road of like paying out money that is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Like no amount of advertising is going to overcome an overpriced house, unfortunately. Unless there is something unique about the house and it's different. But generally, most of these listings, it's all about the price and the condition. And so you kind of have to like say to yourself, is this even going anywhere, and how much time and effort am I putting into it? Because we're not getting any showings. We haven't had any offers. They refuse to change the price. Like you're just dead in the water at that point. So again, though, if you have nothing else going on, maybe it is something you want to like stick around with and see to the end. But it's such freedom to me when you can fire a client and get that monkey off your back, because the beauty of our industry is like you actually don't have to work with that person. You actually don't have to deal with that situation. Whereas if you were in a corporate office or something, you're stuck with dealing with some a-hole in a different department that whatever, and get those shitty emails and feel like shit about it all day. Like, don't worry, I don't have trauma from corporate or anything like that. But like, you can choose in this industry to be like, you know what, I actually don't want to work with you anymore. So I'm going to end this relationship.
Yeah. Well, I think also that's part of the beauty of finding your niche, finding the lead pillar that speaks to you.
Yes.
Online leads, I find, tend to be more of these type of people. That instant gratification. I want to see this house, in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, you're busy. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's a warm handoff from a past client, a lot of times, they're probably on the same, if it's a friend of a past client that you hit it off with, chances are they're going to be the same vibe.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guesswork is taken out of it. I think there's also maybe a social contract amongst everyone where they don't want to make the referring party look bad. I certainly don't want to make the referring party look bad. So everybody's on their best behavior. I mean, I'm always on my best behavior, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's, I think that there's a little bit more understanding, like an unspoken understanding between everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas with an online lead, if they talk to you like shit,
Yeah. Like, I don't
there's-
even know you.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no accountability from them for them to treat you a certain way. They're just, you're just some agent they found online,
Right.
So, that's why I like the lead pillars that I have, because usually the people who find me were somewhat in alignment with a marketing piece that I did.
Yeah. Yep. They're attracted to you. Yeah. I just met a client from YouTube this week, and he went out of his way to say, like, we're really excited to meet you. We're really excited to be working with you. We trust you a lot. Like, literally verbatim, that came out of his mouth. And I was like, I just met you 5 seconds ago.
I
but
love that.
But it was just because of YouTube. And he's like, I know you don't know us, but we've been like watching you for a year. So we feel like we know you, and we're really excited that you're helping us. And like, that makes you feel so good, right? And then you feel so much more confident too, to be able to like share your expertise, even when it is bad news or hard news to deliver, and say like, hey, I think this is a shitty offer. You really need to we need to rework these numbers.
Yeah.
Like, because they already trust you. And that's so much harder to say to someone where you feel like it's, jump and you say how high. Like, I hate, that's the type of relationship that I personally like triggers me. And maybe I need some sort of therapy around this, but like when I feel like they are, a dictator in the relationship, and it's not, I can't be a trusted advisor, and I'm just kind of like their little bitch, for lack of a better term. Like, I can't. And those are the people where I'm like, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
Sorry.
where you are like their task monkey.
Yeah.
Open the door.
Yeah.
Send me this to DocuSign. Those the deals where I am wholeheartedly trusted and like given the space to do what I do best, which is quarterback things from start to close.
Yeah.
I can follow a process and I don't deviate from it. Those are the best, smoothest deals that get done.
Yeah.
But it's when I think a lot of times, I'm a big believer, too many cooks in the kitchen, right? When people start inserting themselves, the client starts inserting themselves into the process, like, that's when mistakes get made.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. They try to take control. They don't know anything about it. And then they get frustrated because they don't think you're doing your job. And it's like, well, I'm trying to do my job. And
Yes.
You're standing in the way right now.
Yeah.
So,
and, I mean, unfortunately, again, I think that boils down back to the low bar for entry. So the pros aren't trusted because they had an experience 5 years earlier with a very green agent, and it didn't play out well.
right. Absolutely.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But those deals where I'm just entrusted to do what I was hired to do, everybody's much happier with the outcome.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think moral of the story, like, when it's time to fire a client. And I want to empower anyone who's listening to like know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And that the business is abundant and you will get future business, because all you're doing is signaling to the universe that like, no, this is not what I wanted. I would like something else.
Yep.
I'm opening myself up to what is a better use of my time. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's harder to do in the beginning. But once you do have a little bit more business, like, don't torture yourself.
Yeah.
Because really, at the end of the day, you're not getting paid anyway, most likely.
Yeah.
If you know it's going down a bad path, it's probably going down a bad path.
It is. I'm telling you, the deals where I thought I should have cut bait earlier never ended up closing. I
Yeah.
could like, it's funny because when we're in the conversation, I could like just name like 5 people.
Oh, I know.
Like right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, didn't close, didn't close, didn't close.
Yeah.
Showed them for a year, didn't close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I should have just.
I know. But, you have to have the experience, and you live and you learn, and you get more confidence, and,
Yeah.
it changes over time. But
Yeah.
you start to learn what you will tolerate and what you won't. And I think it's the same in, your personal life and any business, really. And that's the cool thing about what we do is we have the freedom to decide on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was cathartic.
I know. This really was.
Well, if you're out there thinking about firing a client, we're giving you permission.
Do it.
Do it. It'll feel good. And you'll get...
Fuck it. Do it for fun.
Just rip up that paycheck.
Yeah, whatever.
No, don't do that. But if you need to do it, and you'll get a replacement client that's even better.
Yes.
Universe told me so.
Yep. No, it is abundant.
Yeah.
You just have to believe it.
Right.
And that takes time, and that'll probably play into the next episode.
Yeah. We would love to hear from you guys too. If you have any comments on firing clients, any advice on how to have that conversation.
Worst client that you fired.
Yeah.
Which was the best feel-good firing?
Yeah.
Or pain point when you got canned.
Yeah.
I
Goes both
got a
ways.
few of those.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we will see you on the next episode. Again, comment, like, subscribe wherever you're listening. We'd love a review. It does nothing but help us spread the word
And share the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Till next week.